Hi everybody, welcome back to Bethenaeum. My name is Ellie Marie and today we are going to talk about creating characters. Okay, first I want to apologize that this video is 2 days late coming out. It's been kind of a crazy week. I helped my cousin with some stuff on Tuesday, which is normally the day that I would have edited and released this video, and I just didn't have the time. It ended up being really out of whack. My whole schedule did. It was super fun helping her out and getting to spend the day with her, but it was not a productive day outside of that. Apologies that this video is 2 days late. So let's get into character creation. Now, the method that I use for character creation consists of 2 parts. The first part is more basic and involves 3 layers, which I will go over for you. And the second part involves just character profiles. And I have 2 of which that I'm going to suggest to you. Although if you already have character profiles that you use, feel free to use those in place of the 2 that I suggest. So let's get into it. So, as I said, the first part of my character creation process involves 3 layers. So let's go ahead and look at those layers and what all they consist of. The first layer is very easy. It is a 1-line introduction to your character. And most oftentimes this is considered game show style, in which it gives a brief description of your character and maybe a description of 1 or 2 traits of theirs that are relevant to your story. So my example that I'm going to use is a character for my current NaNoWriMo work, and that is Leanne, my major protagonist. I can talk. Leanne is my main character, and her Layer 1-line introduction is a reformed drug addict turned small town single mom. So we got a couple of little tidbits of information about her and parts that are very important to the plot. So that's layer 1. It's easy, it's quick, it can be kind of fun if you want to make it a little fun, kind of game showy, but you don't have to. It can just basically consist of a brief introduction of your character with a couple of traits that people need to know about them. So the second layer in this first half of my character creation process is to break down that introduction. Take it word by word and explain why each word means what it means about that character, why you used those words in your 1-line sentence. So I'm going to show you my example right here. As you can see, I've got some of my words broken down, and I'm going to touch on 1 or 2 of those just to give you an idea. So her layer 1 was a reformed drug addict turned small town single mom. So the first word that I pulled out of her introduction is the word reformed. And the reason I use that is because it's supposed to show that she's still working through her drug-riddled past. She's turning away from whatever it was that is in the past, but it is still somewhat present in her life. Not that she struggles every day with her drug addiction and wanting to go back to the heroin that was her particular brand of drug, but that it's just she's trying to find what is life outside of drug addiction. And so instead of saying clean or something like that, I wanted to go with reformed because it shows that she is away from the drug addiction, but she is still in the process of working away from that. She hasn't been away from it for like years and years and years. She's still working through that. So that's why I chose that word. And then next, we'll pick another one. Let's go with small town. So small town was a couple of words that I pulled out of that to define as important. And I wrote down they have severed ties from everyone else they knew. So it is my main character and her daughter have moved to this small town from a large city. So they don't have anyone in town really that they know, and they are new. They are the new people in the small town. And that can be kind of rough sometimes when you move into a small town where everybody knows each other and you're new. And on top of it, because she's part of a program, even though I didn't make that part of her 1-liner that is part of the story, everybody knows why she's there. They know that she's there because she's moving away from something that was pushing her out or that she was trying to get away from. So those are a couple of the things that I pulled out of my layer 1 and broke down into my layer 2. And I would just suggest that you do that with your layer 1. You go through each section of that sentence and pull out the words that are most important and that are worth expanding upon for layer 2. Layer 3 of the first half of my character creation method consists of 2 basic parts. The first one is going to be 3 basic things about your character that are going to be fairly easy to discern. You have full name, age, and motivation. What motivates your character to do what it is that they do in the story. So with Leanne, we have Leanne Chavez, that's her name. She is 37 years old, and her motivation is building a better life for her and Anne, her daughter. So those are the 3 things that are basic and that you shouldn't have too much trouble coming up with. And then the next 2 that are still part of layer 3 are a little bit harder to come up with, and you may find yourself taking some time to try to really get these right. So the first part of the second part of layer 3, sorry, we're getting kind of down into all these layers, is to write a single sentence that explains your character's purpose in the plot. So Leanne is our main protagonist. So I put down that Leanne is the primary character and victim of the town's conspiracy. And so that just gives a really brief, basic, haul by the seat of your pants description of why Leanne is in this story and what her point in the story is. So then after that, you want to take some time and write a whole paragraph that describes that character's point and purpose in the story. And this is a little bit more complicated than some of the other stuff that you did for your layering, but it will lead you into this second half of my 2-part character creation process. The second part of my character creation process is to fill out a character profile. So when you are done with your layers and you are starting to look at really why the characters in this story and what their point in the story is, you can start to pull more of those details into their character profile. And a good character profile will ask you a lot of questions that you really didn't think about in your character creation process yet. And it will allow you to really explore that character and try to pair why they are in your story with their personality. And so you can pull a lot of this over and you can say, okay, she's the protagonist and she's feeling outside of the rest of the town, and she's really feeling like something's wrong, and like she's not real sure if this is really what life is like without addiction, or if she's just not understanding what's going on, or if there really is something going on that shouldn't be. And so all of those things are part of the plot that I can pull over into the character creation, and I can help determine maybe some of the quirks and some of the personality types and issues in her character profile, and things that will then in turn affect the plot again. And so it kind of goes back and forth, but that's fun, and that's how you can kind of start to develop plot and character profiles. So as I said at the beginning of this video, I have 2 suggestions for character profiles that are easy to do. The first one is actually one of my tools from my 7 NaNoWriMo tools video, and it is HiveWord. HiveWord is a website that you can get on and sign up for a free profile, and included in those, and including the pieces it gives you to put together your story, is character profiles. And so you can go on and fill those out, and they will be built into everything else you put in to develop your story on that site. And they are good. They give you points for thinking on your character, and just big blank spaces for you to fill in all of your thoughts about your character, including down at the bottom it has a miscellaneous section where you can take everything you've written up for your layering and stick it in there. So it's all just in one nice place, one sheet, everything for that character that you need. The second character profile that I really like is on Novel Factory's website, and I have included the link to both that and HiveWord below, so you can go down and check it out. And it is just this extremely huge character questionnaire. It is wonderful, and I believe they have a download for it on their site, and if they don't, I'm sorry, then it's just a list of questions on their site that you can record your answers to somewhere else, or you can just grab those questions and paste them into a Word document and answer them that way if it's easier for you. But they are wonderful questions. They are detailed, and there's just a lot of them. And so it really makes you think about your character and process that character in your mind so that they can become a well-rounded, well-formed character. So a couple of quick notes about this process before you get started, and it is this process is meant to help you develop well-rounded characters that have lots of layers and that seem real and that people can connect with. You don't want to develop flat characters where you need to have dimensional characters. Flat characters serve a purpose, and we will see that in our video on Friday, and we will talk about some characters and types of characters, and we will talk about flat characters. But most characters are not going to be flat characters, and they need to seem like they're dimensional characters and like they have purpose and reasoning and process behind them. And that is the point of this two-stepped character creation method that I use. The second thing that I would like to mention is on the character profiles. Don't feel like you have to answer all the questions. If you find yourself really stuck on a question and it's not a question that's pertinent to your story, move past it. Don't spend a ton of time on something that doesn't really connect with your story. But if you find that you have an answer to a question that maybe doesn't necessarily pertain to your story, answer it anyway. It just gives your character that little bit more of roundedness to them and a little bit more of oomph and more depth to them. And even if it's just something that you as the writer know, it will come out in your work, I promise. So hopefully you can use some of these steps to help yourself develop some nice, well-rounded characters, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And I would like to take this moment to ask you, if you haven't already, to go ahead and subscribe and make sure you ring that little bell so that you get notification when I upload a new video, which on a regular week is every Tuesday and Friday. And then you can find me over at my blog at Bethenaeum, which I have linked below. And that is updated every Monday and Thursday. And they are basically written out versions of these videos so that you can get a little bit better of a breakdown and feeling of those. And I'd just like to say, as always, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you. Bye.